All right, friends, it's T and I'm back with another video. And guess who it's on? Jason Blaha. I'm going to review an old video he did on me years ago. Jason Blaha, he did a video on me, man, saying that I was crazy or something about hyperplasia, hypertrophy. And I'm going to prove him wrong again, like I've done before many times on my old channel and my new channel. And I'm going to do it even one more time. So let's see what the gym lifting slave has to say here, Jason Blaha. Jason Blaha says Master T genetic beast is crazy. And this is from 2022, March of 15. I remember this video. Okay. This is just one of them, but whatever. Okay, let's hear what he has to say.
Just fine, and deload whenever you need to deload. Do you know a YouTuber called Master T? He thinks that hyperplasia is the best way to build muscle, but the research has only been done in animals. There is no research to support him. He's crazy. I am slightly familiar with him from years ago. I don't know what he's done in the last 4 or 5 years.
Okay. I'm slightly crazy because hyperplasia doesn't exist. It was only done in animals, which is untrue. That's fake, man, because it's just fake, bro. So if you go to my channel, community section, scroll down. There's a section here, I posted it. It's called the different modes of hypertrophy. See that? This is NCBI, okay? There's a link here. You can go to my community section. It's called different modes of hypertrophy in skeletal muscle fibers. And they usually highlight, sometimes they highlight that certain section, what you're looking for when you type things in the search engine. And so they just happen to highlight it right away. So muscle hypertrophy is defined as an increase in the ratio of cytoplasm to nucleus, whereas hyperplasia is defined as nuclear division. Listen to what they say. They say that hyperplasia is defined as nuclear division. Remember what nuclear division is. Remember that word, nuclear division, okay? And an increase in the number of cells. So nuclear division and an increase in number of muscle cells. So nuclear division and muscle cells. That's hyperplasia when it comes to bodybuilding. In contrast, hypertrophy of skeletal muscle is thought to involve an increase in the number of nuclei, as well as an increase in cytoplasmic volume. Hypertrophy of skeletal muscle therefore incorporates part of the definition for hyperplasia, an increase in the number of nuclei. As a further complication, the additional nuclei may come from internal nuclear division or fusion, satellite cells, and their donated nuclei, thus evidence of DNA synthesis and hallmark of what? Hyperplasia. Now he says that it's not real, that it's fake. It's only been done in animals and stuff. Well, I can prove to you just about in everything. And remember, there's two types of muscular hypertrophy. Myofibrillar, which is an increase in myofibrils, and sarcoplasmic, which is an increase in the muscle glycogen storage. Skeletal muscles connect to the bones by tendons and are responsible for movement. Okay, yada, 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 whatever. So, look. Here's their nuclear domain. Okay, nuclear division. So nuclear division is based on what? A myonuclear domain size limit. This is the nuclear division. What determines myonuclear domain? This is a nuclear division. How does it divide? Okay, scroll down. MND size has a ceiling limit during hypertrophic process, beyond which extra myonuclei are donated by satellite cell to what? Support further muscle growth. So they're beyond during hypertrophic process where they can support further muscle growth. So what do you need to do? You need hyperplasia. How do you get the satellite cell to donate its nuclei? By injuring the muscle fibers. If you injure them enough, cause enough injuries, these micro injuries, then the progenitor will leave quiescence and split, divide, increase in number, and differentiate, proliferate, differentiate, and they'll donate their nuclei. They'll fuse with the fibers and create new fibers. Yeah, that's what they do. With those damaged muscle fibers, they donate those little micro injuries. They donate their nuclei inside there. You understand me? They have to attach somewhere. Okay. That's called nuclear division. So yeah, that's how it works. They synthesize protein. What does it look like? It looks like this. I've said this before though. So nuclei overload training. You all know this, right? Nuclei acquired by overload exercise precedes hypertrophy are not lost on detraining. Well, you already know this, so. So, anyways, yeah. The famous map. Here it is. So, if you notice in this map, you notice here it says untrained first training satellite cell, hypertrophy, and fusion. Fusion of what? Satellite cells donating what? It's nuclei, and then they hypertrophy. Get it? Yeah, man. But they reached an MND size limit there, see? The model for the connection between muscle size and number of myonuclei, and this number, myonuclei permanent. Previously untrained muscles acquire newly formed nuclei by fusion of satellite cell preceding the hypertrophy. But it reaches a ceiling limit right there. It reaches a ceiling limit. And there's reasons why it reaches a ceiling limit. People are really confused about that. They don't understand that. We showed that the increase in fiber size during overload hypertrophy preceded by addition of what? Nuclei. Thus, the increase in size could be causally related to the higher total protein synthesis capacity of the larger number of what? Myonuclei. The increase in nuclei seems to be lasting and not dependent on maintaining hypertrophy because severely atrophied fibers maintain an elevated number of nuclei even after 3 months of what? Subsequent denervation. And I've denerved for decades, so I don't know, it stuck around. Maybe not all of it. Not all of it stuck around. Some went, whatever. It depends because, 25 years not lifting, whatever, 20 years. Our data does not support a simple constant myonuclear domain volume. Yeah. Yada. These newly acquired nuclei are causally related to subsequent fiber enlargement. For example, because limitations in some capacity, nucleus might be limited to support the larger domain without increasing the number on subsequent detraining. The fibers maintain the elevated number of nuclei might provide a resistance to atrophy on retraining. A gain in size can be obtained by moderate increase in the protein synthesis rate and increase these many nuclei, skipping to step adding newly formed nuclei. The shortcut may be attributed to relative ease of retraining compared to with the first training in individuals with a previously training history. Yes, you can keep accumulating more if you know what you're doing, how to get them. Yeah. The source of the newly acquired nuclei during first training is most probably satellite cells. Yeah, it's most probably. They donate it. That's how they do it, yes. The approach allowed for a detailed time course analysis demonstrated that addition of nuclei appeared to be most intense 6 to 9 days after the introduction of overload. So if you get damage, muscle damage, if muscles are getting damaged, you're going to get an overload within 6 to 9 days. So it takes about 6 to 9 days after the introduction of the overload, which they mean overload, they mean all this damage that happened. This fits previously observations that hypertrophic stimuli initiate satellite cell mitosis because muscles are postmitotic, they don't split. So the satellite cell initiates cell mitosis before this time period, which is hyperplasia. An increase in the total protein synthesis, but also in remember this word degradation. Remember that word degradation. Has already been detected within hours after introducing a hypertrophic stimulus, including the hypertrophy models similar to ours. This has to whatever. It's a little bit too long here. Remained lower for 12 days. The domain, yada, yada, yada. Newly formed nuclei, example, experimental, okay, cells eliminated, discussion recently. It's quite lengthy. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, man. This is, I'm not going to go through all this. I've read this a long time ago. It's interesting. There's a lot of literature here. There's a lot of stuff on it. It tells you a lot of things about nuclei, yada, yada, muscle and all this, nuclear domain. So yeah, see this results. Newly acquired myonuclei precedes hypertrophy, extended, whatever. They have a whole discussion here. Muscle fibers were visualized. Da, 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 da. So does hyperplasia exist? Yeah, it does. Yeah. It does exist. Fortunately for Blaha, it doesn't exist for Blaha because Blaha's stupid. You understand me? But it's an adaptation process. That's the reason. There's an adaptation process where you're adapted. You're not getting any more of these because repeated bout effect phenomena. These are all adaptations. Repeated. The repeated bout effect phenomena is an adaptation as well from what? From muscle damage. You're not getting damaged anymore. I don't know where it is. So this one I think it is. The repeated bout effect refers to the adaptation whereby a single bout of eccentric exercise protects muscle from damage. Why? Because it grew muscle, it repaired and remodeled new muscle fibers bigger and stronger, and then that makes it more resilient now from being busted. And then they hide in type 2 if you try to bust them. There's a whole thing going on there. Yeah, it's really hard to build muscles, and they only ever build through the donation of these nuclei, muscle damage, whatever, so they can further that domain because it ends there, that domain. A cell is overseen, the cytoplasm, it's overseen by the nuclear domain, and it can only get so big. A muscle cell can only get so big. Fat cells can exponentially get big, like massive, but muscle cells cannot get bigger. They need more nuclei, and then they get bigger. That's how it works. It's hyperplasia. It's based on hyperplasia. Hyperplasia, hypertrophy. Hypertrophy just means something got bigger. You get the cells, and then the cells get bigger through hypertrophy. But like I said, man, that's just how it works. They're overseen. Without them, forget it, man. And it's really difficult to bypass myonuclear domain size limit. It's very painful. I would say it's extremely painful and very difficult. And it's not based on lifting a heavy weight. Okay? I'm sorry, man. You have to get bigger to get stronger to break these muscle fibers because they're resistant from getting bigger and stronger. Very resistant. So you have very little muscle anyways, you natural people out there. You just have newbie gains, that's it. Your newbie gain in the beginning. If you eased into it, then you got no newbie gains. But if you went into it hardcore, like an overload, then you probably got some of this, I don't know. I can't tell you for sure because I don't know what people are doing out there. So yeah. That's a type of adaptation. This too is a type of adaptation. This is an adaptation for strength. When that domain ends, when you can't get muscles to get bigger, myocytic androgen receptor controls strength, but not the mass of the limb muscles. This is for maximum force production. You can read it here. It's independent of maximum force production because you get an accumulation of this because you're lifting a heavy weight. It's based on an adaptation process. These are all adaptations. They're protections. You're lifting something heavy, but it doesn't want to give you more muscle. Why doesn't it want to give you more muscle? Because the muscle grew already bigger and stronger. It's protected from getting damaged with a repeated bout. It's like a bone. You break a bone and then it repairs and then it remodels there a bunch of bone around the broken part. It welds it. It's like welding. You weld around there. There's a whole bunch of calcium there welded. That part of the bone will never break again a second time because it's resilient from being broken. It's really, really, really strong. So you're going to have to try to get to the weaker muscle fibers somehow to get them to become damaged. And it's hard to bypass because the strong ones are protecting the weaker ones from getting damaged. So it's a feat to get there. That's why it's a problem. It's problematic. People don't understand that. And it's based on an adaptation process to get those muscles to damage. It's an adaptation, the adaptation of getting bigger and stronger, and then they never get damaged again. Get it? It's a protection. Like Why don't steroids work anymore? It's a protection because the higher dosages the body protects by shutting down the receptor, and then you have to keep taking higher and higher dosages because it's protecting you. It's protecting the body. It's protecting the body from building muscles. It's protecting the body from drugs, from poison. I don't know. You become a diabetic. It kills the insulin so that it's too high. It's removing the sugar now. It wants you to stop doing that. So it's protecting itself by shutting you down and you stop eating sugar. But then you go to the doctor, get injections, artificial injections and shit. People are doing all artificial things out there to induce these things. It's crazy, man. They just, you people are out of your mind, out of your gourd, bro, but whatever. So yeah, those are just some stuff I wanted to talk about. But yeah, those are the modes, bro. That's the modes. So Blaha, he's out of his mind. He's totally out of his mind, man. You know, and he's such a goat. Listen, he's such a goat, man.
Do you know a YouTuber called Master T? He thinks that hyperplasia is the best way to build muscle, but the research has only been done in animals. There is no research to support him. He's crazy.
See? There's no research to support me. I guess I'm crazy. I'll see you in the next one, friends. I don't know what else to say there. Blaha is crazy, is insane. He's a sickly, insane person. That's why he's a failure. He's sitting in his garage. He has no muscle, nothing on his body. He's only ever gotten really fat, really fat, like 30-40% body fat or something. Maybe more, I don't know. He's only ever gotten really fat, and then he's gotten really skinny again. And he takes a drug to lift a heavy weight. So who's more crazy, him or me? Who's more crazy? The literature that tells you that hyperplasia is part of hypertrophy, it's 2 in 1. It's based on nuclear domain, a nuclear division and muscle cells. So nuclear division and muscle cells. So I have no clue what the hell he's talking about. He says it's only been done in animals. What are you talking about? What did it say there? The different modes of hypertrophy. This is stupid shit, bro. Everybody knows it's fusion, and that the fusion of nuclei from satellite cells is hyperplasia. That comes first before hypertrophy. He's dumb, man. Anyways, I'll see you in the next one. Tell me what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. I'll see you, broski, in the next video. Ciao, friends.